Hi people, this is me, Ivan Verstik. I'm in the city of Kiev. It's February 24th, first anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion. Though for the first time, Russia invaded in 2014, taking our land in the east, in the south, as they've been in control of since then, despite the sanctions introduced by the European Union and by the United States of America. This day I feel, well, we got something to celebrate, I'd say. It's not that we lost the war, we are winning the war. Though in the first day of invasion, it was like 50-50 thing, and it felt weird. No one wants to lose the war, no one wants to lose their life, no one wants to lose the country's independence and freedom and liberty. And we managed somehow to win this war. You can always pay lip service to how strong we are and everything, but the thing is that we are strong. It's not a lip service. We are strong. The Ukrainian nation is strong, and the Ukrainian army is strong, and it's been doing a great job since the very first day of the invasion. When I saw the black smoke outside my windows, and I heard all kinds of explosions, all kinds of artillery working not far away from where I live. Were there mistakes made by the Ukrainian army? Well, there were. For instance, the territorial defense thing. Lots of civilians got engaged in the territorial defense, got rifles, but when Russian army came over here, uh, some territorial defense troops just retreated because they were scared. And that was like the first mistake of the ongoing war happening yet in February and March last year. But later, it all improved. And then our territorial defense became much stronger. And anyways, territorial defense is not the only military unit of the Ukrainian armed forces. We get National Guard, we get mechanized brigades, we get Azov Regiment, we've got air defense system, we get aircraft, we get infantry, which is fighting heroically. We get border guards, we get police, we get security service. We get lots of military units able to perform all kind of military conduct in the combat zones, on the battlefields, all kind of complicated tasks. Take Ukraine Special Operation Forces. They're awesome. What they do in the front lines, in the east and the south, they're simply awesome. Liberating the Crimean Peninsula, liberating the cities of Donetsk and Luhansk in the east. That's a very complicated operation in terms of geography and landscape in Crimea. There are these mountains in the south of that peninsula, and it's hard to fight there because, in the mountains, it's always hard to fight because enemy can be hiding behind the bushes and the trees, in the caves, in the underground facilities that they have there, and then Russians do own underground facilities in Crimea, control them, and we need to be taking care of this. War is a unique experience. Unique experience since it's an existential thing where you have to deal with life and death matters on a daily basis. When you get to think what will help you survive and when. Each morning I would do this list of 5 things. Each time new list. Each morning new list. List of 5 things that would help me, my family, my loved ones, my son survive and win the war. That's hard. That's hard because during war you can't allow yourself to be a pessimist. You have to be an optimistic person, able to get engaged in how things are, in how life is. Sometimes men developments of the war stay outside the media attention. Why? Because in the media, in the newspapers, and the news websites, you get write these articles where you have to quote experts and analysts. Some might just be not aware of what's happening, unfortunately. And if you just produce an article based on what you see, what you know, an editor would tell you, I need facts, I need arguments, I need some evidence that what you're writing is true. That's why classical media, mainstream media, is kind of lagging behind the social media where we can tell things how they are. And Elon Musk on Twitter is not asking us, how do I know that from? Where do I know that from? Because Elon Musk trusts what people write on Twitter, I believe, I think so. And I've never been lying about the war, never been producing any fake news. That's my principle. That's my principle. I am engaged in informational warfare against the Russian Federation, but I never lie, I never produce fake news. I do not need that. That's Russian propaganda that produces fake news, manipulates with information, with data, does cyber provocations and information operations. And I just write truth because, finally and ultimately, the truth is on the side of Ukraine and our army. And that's why by telling the truth, we are winning the war. Telling the truth about Russian sexual violence against the Ukrainian women and teenage girls, Russian army and the provocators stealing Ukrainian kids and getting them to the Russian Federation where they are issued Russian citizenship, all kinds of things. You got to be honest with what you think, what you do, what you write, what you say. That's extremely important. I wish all of you to never experience the full-scale war. It's horrible. It's a huge tragedy. Each day, each evening, each night, you go to sleep, go to bed, thinking, well, this might be my last night. Especially it felt this way during the first weeks of invasion, a year ago, where you would go to bed hearing explosions outside your windows, hearing artillery outside your windows. I saw tanks driving just where I live. Tanks with no flags, nothing. You can't even identify whose tank that is. You can just make, your own conclusions from what you see. And, some explosions do affect you. You see the books on my bookshelf. Well, I experienced explosions where all of the books would fall down from the bookshelf on the floor. And those explosions, they're horrible. They're noisy. They get you nervous. And afterwards, you get to use sleeping pills for sleeping, because after hearing explosions, you can't sleep. Sometimes people do drink alcohol for relieving the stress, which is not such a good thing, because alcohol, it produces dependencies, just like tobacco and drugs. It's the same thing. And surviving the year of war with a resulting impact of winning it, this is awesome. It feels so good to be on the winning side of the war. And this is like, your dream coming true, your dream coming into life, your theories, your perfect ideas about how the world and your country should be organized come into practice. That's why it's awesome. I have to talk to people a lot during the war, explaining all the developments according to the official information we have from the Defense Ministry, from the Security Council, from all kinds of governmental agencies. And that's also important, because people sometimes they would not read official social media accounts. They would trust Telegram channel. Telegram is this Russian social network. They would trust things they hear elsewhere, said by people whose reputation is unconfirmed and uncertain. And people just don't understand how media works. Media sometimes would produce YouTube videos which attract likes, attract shares, but what's being said there is at least 50% Russian propaganda and Russian fake news and Russian manipulation in this sector of the information warfare. And I've been spending a lot of my efforts to explain people that you shouldn't be trusted all the things being said about the war by these so-called experts and analysts, but they still listen to them. And that's like a big thing. If we'd be winning the information war in the first weeks of invasion, we could have finalized the war by now. But the thing is that, Russian propaganda, it made the domestic situation in Ukraine quite uncertain. We have a deep and profound economic crisis, we get cultural crisis. And that's something that needs to be taken care of. And also criminal activities on the rise. I do not allow my son to get aside when it's dark. Why? Because he might be robbed. People might, take out knife and tell him, give me your phone, give me your wallet. And that's happening to all of us. If you're a woman, you might be raped. If you're a teenage girl, you might be raped. By whom? By Russian agents, Russian provocators. In the occupied zones, you might be raped and killed by the Russian soldiers. The war is not a joke. It's a serious, not a game. It's a serious geopolitical complexity in the battlefields on the front lines, in the combat zones that we have in Ukraine, in the south and in the east and elsewhere. We used to have combat zones in northeast near Kiev and other places also. Zaporizhia, Dnipro, Kherson, all these great cities and great Ukrainian cities. They have their own experience of surviving the occupation regime, surviving the war, and resisting the Russian influence and Russian invasion. And also, we are really, really grateful to the NATO countries, to the United States of America, to United Kingdom, to European Union for supplying us with these weapons, which includes both, really, really strong ones and also lighter ones, which are extremely useful if you want to fight intensive, highly mobile war based on the decentralization principles, when your troops are doing ad hoc decisions, on the spot decisions, and officers have to understand what kind of arsenal they're having, that they could do work and complete their mission, and also achieve some substantial results in what they do. Sometimes you may do miracles with 777 howitzers, sometimes you need a scissor in an artillery system, sometimes you need a HIMARS, sometimes you need NASAMS, and you need to learn how to operate those complicated weapons, and that takes time, that takes weeks before you understand how you operate NASAMS or defense system, or HIMARS artillery, long-range artillery, or M106, the lighter howitzer, which is also awesome. And 10 of those may produce you 50 kilometer per day advance, if the landscape allows that, if there are no mountains, no too much territory under the woods and bushes, if you get fields, then these lighter howitzers are awesome. And also air defense is especially important, because Russia stored lots of missiles before invading Ukraine. They used to have thousands of missiles and rockets that they could launch on the Ukrainian cities and towns and villages, putting some of them to dust, like the city of Nikopol in central Ukraine, or Bakhmut or Lysychansk in eastern Ukraine. Russians just put those cities into rubber. And that's why you need air defense system that would be able to intercept Russian manned aircraft, unmanned aircraft, drones, missiles, rockets, bombs. And I do not think that this uncertainty in Ukraine is going to stop soon. We will win the war, we will finalize our victory, we will celebrate our victory, but having Russia as a neighbor means that you should be prepared that it's going to invade the second time, the third time, the fourth time. Unless Russia changes the way it lives, the way it does politics, the way it does economy, we, all of us in our Eastern European neighborhood, and also Nordic Europe, who have borders with Russia, we can't feel that we're safe. Until Kremlin changes its ways, we can't say we're safe. Finland is not safe. Norway is not safe. Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, Poland doesn't have a border with Russia, with the mainland Russia. But there is this Kaliningrad, an enclave in the Baltic Sea that belongs to Russia. Other countries, we can't say we're safe. We are in a constant tension produced by the Russian government, by Kremlin, by Russian Defense Ministry, by Russian Security Council, by the Russian KGB, which is Special Security Service. And this shouldn't allow us to get relaxed, completely relaxed. To me, this is a very important point, that I'm not having any weekends during the war, no holidays, no vacations, nothing. I haven't been living in Ukraine since the first day of invasion. I was invited to visit the United States, United Kingdom, Spain, and other places, and Poland. I refused. Why would I travel to different countries if the war is happening in my country and I'm needed here to do work, to resist, to do information warfare? Why would I travel elsewhere if I'm needed here? And the digital tools we have, laptops, iPhones, all kind of phones, they allow you to do work on a global scale, staying in your own room, staying in your apartment, staying in your house, staying in your city, town, or village. Traveling is not safe. I do not think that traveling is safe in Ukraine. Russians may bomb all kinds of aircraft, all kinds of trains, all kinds of buses, trucks, vans, private cars. So that's why I'm not traveling abroad so far. And I'm not going to in the nearest future. Why? Because I want to survive. I want to win the war. I want to help my country, my nation, the Ukrainian nation, to win the war. I'll take a vacation later. I'll do weekends later. I'll be visiting, the movie theaters later. So far, I just have work. And that's my recommendation to any of you who are living through the uncertainty, through the times of uncertainty. Work, 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 work. You know this famous song, My Humps. You may find it on YouTube, a good song. There is this verse there that says, I'll make you work, 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 work. Exactly. No drama, no drama. I'll make you work. This is my recommendation for all of you. Just work, do work. You get a job, do work. I'm aware there was this global economic crisis with food shortages in poorer countries, with inflation and prices growing all over the world. In Ukraine, it's even much more horrible, the economic crisis. But it's not going to stop us. It hasn't stopped us. It will not stop us because we're on a winning path. So my worries go rather to countries like Moldova, which is Ukraine's neighbor from southwest, to countries like Poland, that has been criticized as an unreliable European Union member. And NATO probably needs better response capacities and response mechanisms, including bureaucracy, politics, and diplomacy. So countries like Poland and Estonia and Latvia and Lithuania would be protected, would feel safe and feel secure. And also Sweden and Finland, they need to be joining the NATO quite soon, coming weeks. There is no time left for bureaucracy. Just let them in, dear NATO. Let Finland and Sweden in the NATO, into the bloc that would protect them from all kinds of Russian provocations on the borders, which would allow them enjoy the NATO response capacity. This is important. We do not want any Russian soldiers invading whether Finland or Sweden or Denmark or Norway. And Russians have been dreaming about putting Nordic Europe under own control forever. Russians are jealous about Norway having this huge oil and gas industry that Russians and Moscow want to put on its knees. Russians do have jealousy about this, about Norway's pension fund, which is huge. So I would be taking care of Norway and also Finland and Sweden, Denmark and Belgium, Luxembourg and other places. That's really important. So far, we've survived the war here in Ukraine and we will win it soon. Now our worries go to other countries and we wish them well. We'll be supporting them at a full scale, at whatever it takes, philosophy. We're prepared for this. We are ready. We owe this. Because European Union, NATO, United States, United Kingdom have been helping us a lot to win this war. Now it's our turn to show what we can do in the battlefields, in special operation, in information warfare, in cyber warfare. And this is our obligation to the humanity and the world and the globe and the planet, the earth, the humankind. We do understand this. So it's first anniversary of the invasion, Russian full-scale invasion. It's been a tragedy, a pain, but it's also our victory. In the books and history, this war will remain as Ukraine's biggest victory in its independent political history. This is a big thing. Glory to Ukraine!